button on, just so you know we're being recorded.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool, nice one. Okay, guys, so first session of our quality practitioner learning journey. So this module very much sits around core basic knowledge when it comes to quality management. So we're going to very much look at what we call clause 4 within ISO, which is all about the context and understanding of your organization and the risks that affect it. So I won't go over in great detail, but ground rules for all sessions are making sure you're sat somewhere quiet where you can concentrate, being prepared and on time. I do love to see your faces, though. I know, Andrew, your camera is having absolutely none of it today.
No, not playing.
If while I am talking away, because I do get talking away, then if you want to ask a question, please do just raise your hand like that and I will stop to let you ask a question. Please don't wait for me to finish, just stick your hand up. And when we're doing activities, let everyone contribute, be responsive, constructive and positive. On the board there, it says no eating, but we're going to be here for some time. So at no point do I feel that I would stop you having snacks. That would just be cruel, I believe. So I won't be, because I'll talk too much to eat snacks. But, you know, I wouldn't look down upon anybody having snacks throughout the morning. That's cool, Richard. Excellent. It's just on the slide, so we'll negate that particular one. So guys, as we go through an apprenticeship, there are 5 key areas that as part of apprenticeship funding we need to touch on, look at and make sure we link to throughout our modules, throughout our assignments, and a lot for you guys it will be through the wider learning elements that you'll get. So as part of a core apprenticeship framework, we look at British values. British values are democracy, rule of law, individual liberty, mutual respect and tolerance. Okay, and in some ways link directly to professional behaviours of a quality practitioner. And whenever you look at an apprenticeship standard has a section called behaviours, which always seems a bit ambiguous to assess, but it's about showing professionalism throughout the way that you communicate and support other people in a quality role. We will, of course, look at safeguarding as a key subject. Safeguarding is massive, of course, within the education industry, and it's ensuring that, you know, everybody understands what safeguarding support mechanisms are in place for everyone and, you know, what we mean by safeguarding. And you'll go on a safeguarding lecture. Probably the admin girls will be in touch in the next week or two and they will ask you to book on to that. If you're not able to attend the lecture, then let me know and I can organise a online e-learning version of the course to be sent over for you. We also look at Prevent. Prevent is a big national kind of drive, and that looks at kind of protecting society and reducing the risk of people being drawn towards terrorism and radicalisation. So you'll go on a 4-part British values and Prevent course that the government mandate as part of an apprenticeship framework. And then, of course, equity, equality, diversity and inclusion will be part of your normal learning journey with Clear Quality. We will also, when we do assignments, and with QP, you do get numeracy in there as well, because you'll have control charts, you'll have measurement system analysis, you'll have quality metrics and data that we manage. And also there will be an element of creating policies, procedures, structures, quality management, IMS systems, depending on each assignment. And we said at the lecture for those at the beginning lecture for those that weren't there, that with the assignments we can bespoke those to be more valuable for you guys, either as a learning exercise or as a piece of work for the business. So we'll look at those when we look at the assignment specs. So today's session, we are going to have a look at the purpose of a quality management system. So why we have them. We're going to look at the 8 principles of quality management. We're going to look at ISO 9001 and those clauses. We're going to look at risk-based thinking and then that overall SWOT, steeple and organizational structure analysis for BRIGGS specifically. And that will be part of what is planned for the assignment this month. So today's lecture will then link in to next month's lecture, which will be specifically about the IMS structure and how ISO and that run alongside one another and what it is that you guys will implement in and around BRIGGS that sits within the IMS code. So they're going to link together modules 1 and modules 2 in that sense. And they're kind of the core block knowledge modules. So it's making sure that everybody has the same knowledge and understanding about what is required for the code and the quality management system. We can therefore constructively build what everyone needs from there. That makes sense. So you'll always see this slide at the beginning of every lecture, and it does look like a little bit of a boring slide, guys, but it does have a really important purpose. So as part of an apprenticeship, you are studying each month what we call a duty. And a duty is knowledge, skills, and behaviours that a quality practitioner should have. Linked to that is a whole jumble of knowledge, skills, and behaviours that live in the background. And for each module we deliver you, we map that to those knowledge, skills, and behaviours to ensure by the end of the course, you've covered every knowledge, skill, and behaviour at least twice. When you get to EPA, EPA will then assess you on those knowledge, skills, and behaviours. Okay, so they'll look at the beautiful portfolio that you've created with me, with all the assignments that we've done, and then they'll link that to each knowledge, skill, and behaviour, and that's what your professional discussion will sit around. So this particular module is looking heavily at K1, which is your knowledge one, which is understanding the organization's operating environment and the factors that may influence its direction and performance. That includes markets it operates in, roles and responsibilities, stakeholders, and what they require. As a quality practitioner, we need to know that information about our organization to be able to then manage that quality effectively. So those kind of core knowledge 1 and S1, which is the relevant legal, governmental and industry regulations, are of course where we're going to start with our core knowledge today. So when I send you out the slides afterwards, you'll get a copy of this, and each of the knowledge, skills and behaviours that's listed on this slide is in the slide notes for you. I'm sure you don't want me to read you out everyone line by line, but I will share that with you so you always know what we've covered each month. So EPA, for those especially who weren't on the launch call, comes in 2 parts for you guys. Part 1 is every single assignment that you create throughout the learning journey with me. So there'll probably be about 12 assignments that we've done together that will build your portfolio of evidence. Assessment number 1 will then be a 60-minute discussion with your EPA, which is Good to Go awards, over your portfolio to showcase all the evidence of you quality managing during that 12 months that you're on programme. Second part of your EPA, assessment method number 2, which is why you have such a long EPA gateway period, which is 6 months, is running an improvement project. So Neil will sit down with me at the gateway point and with each of you, and we'll design a quality improvement project that you'll run during your EPA 6-month period. Now, it doesn't have to last for 6 months. That's just the window of time of which you have to do it. If you're done in 12 weeks, you can sit your assessment at 12 weeks. That's absolutely fine. But they give you 6 months because some quality improvement projects can be quite hefty. Some, when we do bespoke cohorts like this, might be one big project that we run that involves all of you. Yeah. So therefore, coordinating it can take a period of time, but we'll get more towards that when we look at modules 9 and 10, which is project management towards the end. Does that make sense to everyone? Any questions on EPA? No? All good? Cool. So this is where we're always driving, guys. This is the thing that we are driving towards to make sure we have the knowledge to be able to complete at the end. So key contacts, this will be up every single month for you. I'm not going to read out every person on the slide every single month for you, but just key contact Ed Johnson. If you have any safeguarding appeals or complaints about anything, please do at any point during your course, contact Ed directly with the email address on the slide. You'll see his email address a lot over every slide. So yeah, any issues, please do contact Ed directly. He will be able to support you. Okay, cool. So introductory bit done, guys. Let's talk about quality management systems for today. So when we look at quality management systems, okay, we are aiming to look at kind of that what we do in our organization that allows us to produce our products or services fit for purpose and right first time. We also then, of course, in quality management, have that element where we have to conform to a set of requirements, and everyone's requirements are different. I've done this all over the country with lots of different businesses, and you know, each person has a different set of standards that they're working towards. So what we try and do as we go through is we tailor to that particular set of standards. So each month we're doing something and building something that is valuable, both to you, to the business, and to your portfolio of evidence, most importantly for me. So the textbook definition, which is contained in the ISO standard, is a quality management system is the degree to which an inherent set of inherent characteristics fulfills the requirements. Okay? What a lot of people think is that there is a specific structure that they have to meet. No, it's the structure you put in place as an organization and how you evidence meeting that. So today we're going to look at ISO 9001 and the core principles of quality management. But before we do that, I want to know, in your different job roles, in your different departments, what does quality management mean to you at the moment and your role in it? Okay. And what systems are you currently working with? Just to give me a little bit of a flavor of your current input, your current knowledge, what you're actually working to, helps me to tailor what we do. So guys, I am going to give you 5 minutes. Is that enough? Jot down some notes. What does quality management mean to you? What quality management system do you have in your section of the organization? And you can always chuck in there for me as well a little bit about what your role is within quality management at the moment. Okay? Cool. All right. Shout me if you have any questions. Hello.
The second bit, when it says what quality management system do you have in your organization, I'm not sure what that means.
Okay, that's cool. That's absolutely fine, Andrew. That's cool. I think then that was what we will put in place.
Okay,
Cool. We'll learn it, we'll find out, and we'll put it in place if it doesn't exist.
okay.
Excellent.
I would agree on that, actually. I think that's one
Okay.
thing that the reason why we're actually all here is because BRIGGS
Fantastic.
historically has been quite bad at having a consistent quality management system, different processes around different areas of the business. There's no consistency, and I would agree with that. Unless I'm missing
That's really
something.
interesting then. So maybe that's what we do with the monthly assignments then. We
Yeah.
look at what part of the quality management system links to the knowledge, skills, and behaviours, and we build that part across all of your departments with a consistent standard.
Yeah.
So it's like rather than like assignments each month, it's kind of a mini project each month that you all work on together.
Yeah.
Or let me think of an idea of that while we go through today. So what we could do to build stage one of the system. Does everyone feel the same about that then? That the quality management structure isn't there?
Yeah, I'd agree with that completely. But I'm looking at that just now at what quality management means to us at the moment. And I think we'll all have individual things that would feed into it, such, well, policies and things that exist for BRIGGS, internal audits and things that we do for our own contracts, contract specific inspections and things that we'll do, KPI measures for the contracts that feed into that as well. But I don't feel like we've got a management system there currently that formalizes that brings all that together.
What you have is each person managing quality in their department in the way that they think is best for their department.
In the way that is almost we've inherited it when we've joined the job. There's not necessarily been that much development of it. From my perspective, I feel like that's where I'm at anyway.
Yeah.
That makes total sense and happens all the time, and it often happens when a business grows quite quickly and new areas and new departments are added on as we go, or they grow, and then all of a sudden we've outgrown where we were before. And now we need that structure in place because we've got more people in the mix, which means we've got more chance of human error throughout the processes. So yeah, absolutely. I think we'll do that then. Each month, let's try and put together a little kind of working project that all of you on the course can have an element of working on that embeds it in your particular areas. And then maybe the wider EPA project could then be rolling it out everywhere across the entire company. So we create the QMS at each month as part of the course. And then at the end, the EPA project is to fully roll it out. Oh, I quite like that. Does anyone else agree? Sorry, I went off on a bit of a tangent there. I do that.
I think that
Sounds better to me. Yeah, like a mini project. Yeah.
Because we've got the assignment specs and all of that jazz. Yeah. But we can twist those to build a system that sits centrally in place instead. So all I've got to do on the BUD system is delete the assignment that is currently there and make a new one and put it on for you. And then we can do that instead. So let me think today about what we could do as kind of a group thing that would cover the KSBs as we go through today. And I will pitch a different assignment at the end. Okay, so I'm going to go through each person. So I'm going to start with you, Andrew, just because you're on first on my cameras, even though I can't see you. What does quality management mean to you at the moment?
So, if I've got the understanding right, so I'm fairly new to the role I'm in. So, what I'm looking to do is improve our kind of resilience when it comes to holding of spare parts and consumables, which ultimately is going to lead to like less downtime,
Mhm.
more efficiency, and ultimately that's going to lead to better quality of service.
Okay, Fab. So you very much sit around the centralized system and quality metrics area, and maybe a bit of lean into that as
Okay,
well.
okay.
Okay, cool. Interesting. Thank you, Andrew. David, you're next on my cameras. What does it mean to you at the moment?
I think, yes, some of the things that I just mentioned previously, I think the fact that we don't feel like we have a larger quality management system at the minute that covers the group. There's our different ways of doing things. So I want to deliver the best product that we've got as a company to our client, and I want that to be consistent, and I'd like that to sit in the wider Briggs picture as well, so that we're all singing
Okay.
from the same hymn sheet. So when it's spoken about and it's cross contract, we have a call with Neil every morning and it's cross contract. We're talking about things that we all understand and that all line up, which I feel that it doesn't do that at the moment. Now,
So for you,
Neil,
it's very much about culture
yes, yeah,
across the
culture, but
organization.
yeah,
Yeah.
but having that
Core system and culture.
yeah, and
Yeah.
control over the quality of what you're delivering for a client
Yeah.
and getting to that, and in turn that ticks off all the other boxes of the legislative side, all of that kind of thing as well falls into that naturally.
Interesting. Cool. Yeah, I think that's a different angle, but I also think a very important part of quality management is core structure. You have to build from a core structure, and sometimes a core structure feels a bit alien to begin with. And every one of you will have a different requirement of it. So we have to make it flexible enough to meet everyone's requirements, but structured enough to make it measurable and manageable and monitorable going forward. Interesting. Cool. Thank you, David. That was really good. Shona, what about you? What does quality management mean to you in your area at the moment?
I am going to be a bit kind of vague on this,
Okay.
because I'm kind of obviously, although I come from admin, so obviously I've recently moved into duty manager role over the last 6 months. Obviously, my interpretation of it is obviously we're providing a service to a client. Obviously, from our point, it's more in services to different terminals. Obviously, making sure that is done obviously safely, following our risk assessments. Also, I have a little bit to do with it, audits. That's kind of rather embarrassingly, that's kind of like it.
Oh, no, don't be
really.
embarrassed, Shona. Not at all. We're in session number 1, about 29 minutes in. So the whole point is it's a learning exercise at the end of the day. So for you, moving into that admin manager role, again, it's back to that, putting your core structure in place of what needs quality monitoring. How am I going to quality monitor it? You know what I mean? What that looks like in reality versus our business as usual, and how we make those two things work. Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Shona. Appreciate that. Jenny, how about you?
So for me personally, it's more about having the procedures and processes in place to do that encompasses everything that what we do and deliver to the client. So, for example, we have a safety management system for vessels, which is fairly old, outdated. It needs reviewing. It probably references out of date policies and procedures. There's no consistency. So it's more about having all of that correct and delivering the right things and referencing the right things and meeting the company and client requirements, as well as aligning with 9001 as well. I think generally across the piece that is probably a mess at the moment. For one of the contracts that I've recently taken on, we rushed together an SMS to get it in place, and I know that the guys that are out there on the field trying to use it are they're coming to me saying it's talking about this, but where is it? And it is just a mess. So it would be about getting all of that aligned and up to date, and the QMS would be the overarching
Absolutely.
system that would have all of that.
I think that, and I think building your risk register, your overall organizational risk register as a group, we call it the enterprise risk register, which is the core document of a QMS system that kind of manages your overall business risk and looks at how each department feeds into that process and how you then manage that core from there. Then the second part is building your processes, systems and procedures system core, so that everybody is using the same core systems and procedures in each area of the business.
That exactly that. And there might be things that are contract specific that might need to look a little bit different. But yeah, everything at the top level has to be consistent and up to date and be correct.
Cool. I think that's what we're going to do then as core from today, is to build the enterprise risk register as a group. And that'll be this month's mini project, because that gives you that central knowledge and understanding of how each kind of building block of the business and each area and each, how it all joins together and what overall risk affects that as a quality team, you then need to ensure is managed in each area. And then we move on to looking at how policy, procedure and thingy structure. So I might move some of the modules around to do things in more of a organized order for building a QMS. So let's do core knowledge today, which will help us to build the enterprise risk register. Then we do policy, procedure and process after that. Then we look at those KPIs and lead metrics in that order to ensure we're building those blocks of the system. Cool. Interesting. Good. Thank you, Jenny. That was really great. Richard, what about you? What does quality management mean to you in your department at the moment?
It's quite a dangerous role, so ensuring that the standards that they need to. One thing that we've always lacked is a training program. I go from deckhand to coxswain. There's no specific training.
Right. Okay.
Standard to raise the level. So in the past, it's been John's trained Peter, Peter's then trained Paul. It's been the kind of Chinese whisper.
Yeah.
So it's having down a structured training program that it doesn't matter who delivers the training, it's verbatim. And similar to this course here, you know, it's all on slides or in a presentation that somebody can follow. I mean, we do have, obviously, like it's been mentioned, the SMS, we've got the policies and procedures, but again, they've all been wrote by us. So even just down to slips, trips and falls in a risk assessment, in one risk assessment, it'll say whatever, and then in the next risk assessment, it'll be a total different verse. So there's no standardization, even within risk assessments, that on something as simple as slips and trips and falls, it's not the same paragraph repeated. Yeah, so it's just even down to the very basics of training from the very start. We do have within the company voyage training, which everyone's got to go through as standard, but it's when you come down to the department, I think we don't have that training. So there's no minimum standard.
Okay, fantastic. Well, that is a really good one. And that's something that I have many years of experience doing, Richard. So I actually will really enjoy helping you do that. But I think what it means is that when we look at the usually what would be a coaching and mentoring module, okay, what I might do is do a lean on that particular subject towards building an internal training structure with formalized training across each department that's required for each job role, that is then monitored and managed. If that's what you want, then I'm very happy to kind of tailor it to do that rather than to be about one-to-one coaching and mentoring in a quality environment.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that when we then come to manage the quality, It's what level are we managing at? Are we managing at someone who's been taught by Joe Bloggs or someone who's been taught by Professor?
It's part of your core system, isn't it? At the end of the day, if you don't know the core competency of your team and you don't have signed off training records, and especially if you work in a dangerous environment, you are putting yourself and your team at risk. So it feeds directly into it. So I think I'm just getting, as we go through today, guys, I'm kind of pulling out core areas and subjects so that we can build a valuable system for you. And it also, I mean, I will change up some of the lectures to suit around you guys getting what you want out of it, but also making sure we cover the KSPs. Great. Thank you, Richard. Really appreciate that. And last but not least, Dan.
So to me, Beth, it's basically making sure that the job's done safely and efficiently, and all the team know where and what they're doing at all times. I'd say I can agree with the others in a lot of situations here. We've got something called the Modern Appreciation course that the guys could go on really to get them trained up to the standard. But we haven't got any trainers at the moment, so some people may be not trained for 12 months, 24 months, others come in, they're trained within a month. So we've got no standard of what's expected from people. And then we're trusting charge hands, coxswains to train them up to a standard, but everyone in there is doing a different thing. So for me, it's getting everyone on the same page, following the same system, and then you can work towards a goal. Obviously, you're still going to have issues, assures, things that come in. Assure is like incident reporting for us. So then, obviously, we could, with a standardized system, if everyone's following the same operation, when an issue does arise, we can look to address it and find a way to improve on it and feed that back into the system. But at the moment, everything is a little bit all over the place. So yeah, for me, it's just getting everyone, almost like Richard said. We've just got one of the duty managers is doing training now, so we've got quite a few people who aren't trained on short tension. It won't mean a lot to you, but it's about getting everyone up to that. So some of these people have been here for years, and then all the duty managers not really working to the same level to come together to make this work as well. So I think I'm starting to see a change, but yeah, I do think that's it for me in a nutshell. It's just making sure everyone's at a standard, and then where issues arise, we look to implement something in place to stop that being a problem. And then yeah, basic auditing, checks, gig bulk checks to make sure that they're operational beforehand, checks afterwards, checks of kit for maintenance. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell for me, really.
Okay, cool. So, I pulled out very much that what we need is a core training structure that analyzes each job role, the skills and knowledge needed for that particular job role, and then mapping out what the core training would be for each role and what that should look like before people are sent out to do general work that's quite dangerous. Does that make sense? And also about safety audits and inspections. So absolutely, safety audits and inspections we can look at. So we need a little bit of a kind of check angle on some of it as well, based on some of your roles, is what I'm taking out of that. Shona, you had your hand up. Sorry, lovely.
Yeah, it's obviously, I think that, Dan's working along the same basis of obviously what we are down here, because obviously our guys do the mooring, and again we're in the same situation, and we've got no trainers for the mooring appreciation. So we are, if we bring in new people, we're relying obviously on our more experienced senior members of the team, to put it politely, that are obviously training them up for obviously assessment. So we're kind of sort of probably roughly in the same sort of like area.
Yeah,
it will be the same, really.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks, guys. That really gives me a good overview. And I think from that, I took very much away QMS structure, aligning policy, procedure, and process across the board, looking at kind of where we can lean, quality control, metrics, implementing a training structure across the board for all roles and matrices, and looking at kind of safety audits, inspections, internal audits, and how that structure will look. So I'm going to tailor what we do to ensure we get those outcomes. And I think the projects each month are going to be things like you working in a group to create your enterprise risk register, which I will of course walk you through and give you a template for, etc. But it's the core part of your QMS. Next month, we'll look at creating a system for managing policy, procedure, and processes. Yeah, month after that, we'll look at reviewing lean within our areas and how we manage quality metrics. Month after that, we'll look at training structures and implementation. Month after that, we'll be on site, I think, because that'll be around September. So we can have a look at quality audits and inspections when we're all together. And we'll do some practical, some classroom over those 2 days. Cool, that was great. Any questions, guys? Anyone want to add anything else?
Just a quick thing from me, Beth. I'm just mindful that there might be other things going on in the background in the wider business that we might be crossing over with.
I can run each one by Neil each month.
Yeah,
if you think that that's a good idea, because all I'll do is just, when I send it out to you after we've discussed it, I'll just forward it to Neil and say, this is the assignment spec we've come up for this month. Are you happy for us to run this project? And if he's got a problem, he'll let me know straight away.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because he'll just check in with maybe our HSEQ department and make sure that we're not doubling up on something here. Of course. It has to be worthwhile. Yeah, that's fine.
So absolutely. Each month after we've agreed what the assignment will be, I'll send the spec over to Neil and get sign off before I issue it out to you guys. Cool. Awesome. Okay, so 8 principles of a quality management system. So quality management has to come from the top down, okay? Everybody has to be bought into what we're doing. If the senior leadership team aren't bought into quality management, it's very hard to embed a culture of quality management across a business. So really, quality management should simply be putting the customer at the heart of everything that we do. Yeah, often that gets lost. And people think that the CEO, is the boss of an organization. Yeah. But he's not, because if you don't have any customers, you don't have any business, that means you don't have any money, that means you don't have any jobs. So no matter what organization we work in and what service or product we provide, the real boss of what we do is our customer, because we need to keep them, we need to gain them, and we need to retain them in our businesses. So principle number 1 will always be customer focus. Okay, the decisions that we make should be made because the customer's best interest is at heart. Principle number 2 is, of course, leadership. We all have to sing off the same hymn sheet. If we don't, then we will not have a standardized embedded quality management system. Which means if that's what we're going to aim to do, guys, over the next kind of year in our sessions together, then we need to, all of us, including me, get leadership bought in to what we're going to be doing. Yeah. So if leadership are bought into it, then leadership are going to champion and support that. So we need to understand why we want to do it in the first place. And then we need to be able to articulate what it is that we want to achieve. And leadership need to buy that so that we can then have the support to implement and roll out, not only in just your specific areas, but then organization wide after that. And I've already had a really good chat with Neil. He seems lovely and he seems very supportive of you guys implementing quality management system within the business. So hopefully we're going to get a good level of support with those projects that we run. Principle number 3 is involvement of people, okay? We are not subject matter experts in every job in the business. I have a real, and you'll learn this about me, I have a real dislike for when we pull all policy and procedure into one human being in the business and have them update and review it. I just don't understand how they would have the subject matter knowledge expertise in every single policy and procedure in that business that is taken. It should be worked on by the people that do the work. If the people that do the work buy in to the policies and the procedures that we have in place, then they will follow them. If you enforce them upon them and shove them at them with no input whatsoever, they will just carry on doing exactly what they were doing before. And involvement. Sorry, go on, Andrew.
To just shout in. Are you talking about relying on the people on the shop floor to the experienced people as opposed to somebody who's never done the job?
Yeah.
You sort of talking about that? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that.
Okay.
We subject matter experts are the people that do the work all day, every day. I know every task that happens in my department, but I don't do every task that happens in my department every day. So I couldn't tell you the most efficient way in which to carry it out. I could absolutely work out how to do it, but I could also go look at the process that the expert in my business made to do that, to follow that, so that I don't have to work it out for myself. So it's so important, that element, guys. And I will always, always say that, the people that do the work should be involved in developing the procedures that they're going to follow, because then they will actually follow them. Yeah. I've done it before where I've walked in as a quality and compliance manager into a training organization and was told by the senior management team to go and write a procedures manual for how every action in the learner management system was completed. Now, I was told the admin team are too busy and they can't help me to do that activity, so I just need to do it. So I go away in the background, create this beautiful manual full of procedures. And then if you actually went and measured what the admin guys do versus the laborious manual that I made, they have much leaner little efficiencies that they do in their job roles because they do it all day, every day, that I, doing it once to work out what the procedure was, wouldn't know. So people are a huge part of what we're going to do when embedding quality management. If you get them from the beginning, they will care about the implementation of it. If you build it outside of that and then enforce it upon them later, they will have no interest and continue to do their jobs in exactly the same way they do them now. So involving people, involving your departments, using your members of staff is really important. Principle number 4 of quality management is process approach. So we will talk a little bit today about processes, standard operating procedures, policies, just so that we understand what we mean by each element. But it's about every single task that is done in your area is documented. And it is documented so that if the person that carries out that task is not available to carry it out, somebody else could pick up that documentation, follow it, and carry out that work. And it's very rare in organizations that everybody already has that in place. Okay. And then it's about building a core structure, principle number 5, that manages that system, that says these people own those procedures, these people own those policies, this is when they're reviewed, this is their version numbers, so that it is structured and managed in a organized fashion. But you set what that fashion is. If you think every 3 years is right for reviewing your processes and updating your system, that's fine. If you think every 1 year, that's for you to define how you want that to look. So process approach and system approach to management come completely hand in hand with one another, okay? You can't do one without the other. You need the structure that manages the processes procedures and policies that sit within your quality management system. Principle number 6 is all about continuous improvement. Continuous improvement is a massive part of ISO 9001. It's a whole clause to itself. And plan, do, check, and act cycle is something we'll probably talk about 20 times, 30 times over the next year, because it's that cycle of never settling and saying that we can't do it better. It's always looking at those improvements to the way that we do it and being flexible and open to those improvements. And also, I'm going to say this now because this is something I truly do believe in, quality managers should be driving those improvements. Yeah, we should be saying this is what we can do better and this is how we're going to implement it and do it. And we'll talk a lot about continual improvement. And I imagine nearly every project you do over the next 12 months will be around some kind of continual improvement for your system. Principle 7, really core, important principle, factual decision making. It is not an opinion. We have a set of standards. We have evidence that we are presented. Do we meet said standard with said evidence? Okay? We must always be able to back up our decisions. And we do that by having evidence to back them up. And therefore, we can only make factual decisions in the business. Anybody ever had an audit before where the auditor has come up with all sorts of opinions about the way that you do it? And you're like, well, you don't really know actually how this particular department or role works. It's because they aren't following a structured standard in the delivery of what they do. So you'll find a lot that I will question decision making, yeah? Because we need to make sure if we're going to give someone a non-conformance, if we're going to give someone an action, if we're going to implement a new system, we need to be able to justify why we're doing that. And that needs to align to a specific system or standard that we are trying to make or meet, sorry, not make. So principle number 8, some people don't include this one, but I think it's super important for all organizations, especially if you use third parties in any part of your product or service development, which is mutually beneficial supplier relationships. If our suppliers do not bring us what we need on time, we cannot provide our service to our customer, also to the quality required and on time. So we need to manage those relationships. I know that you guys have a full kind of procurement department that manage your supplier relationships at the moment. So Neil and I have got a little bit of a plan of a twist on that area of the syllabus where you can make an impact, but also not tread on other people's toes. But we need to keep a good relationship. If your supplier cares about your contract, they're going to bring you what you need right first time on time. If they don't, it might arrive on time and it's probably okay standard, but we should be monitoring that. We should be measuring that because everything links back to the customer. If we're promising the customer something and then our suppliers let us down, now we've got to go back to our customers, which looks bad on us as an organization. So it's super important, those 8 principles, and that's what we're going to build your quality management system around, those 8 core principles. Any questions on 8 core principles, guys? No? How do you want to do breaks today as well, guys? We can either do like a break every hour for 15 minutes, or we can do one longer break in the middle, and just little 5-minute comfort breaks. What do people want to do throughout the day? I'm quite flexible on the break front.
I'm flexible. I'll just roll with whatever everyone wants to do. I quite like the sound of maybe a wee break every hour just so I can stretch my legs, but I'm not fussy.
Yeah, I'm happy enough with that.
Yeah?
Yeah. just to quickly check the emails and try and keep on top of stuff at the same time.
That's cool. So we normally, we'll probably take 10, 15 minutes every hour then.
Perfect.
Does that work for everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so ISO standard. 9001 is the core standard. All other ISO standards are built from ISO 9001. Okay? ISO prescribes for you and makes multiple references to the identification and control of processes. Okay? So our processes, our policies, our procedures, our standard operating procedures are the core central system for ISO. Okay? Lovely. The standard says lots of words like shall. Yeah? It doesn't really mean shall. It means you must have it. Okay. So we've got to have a change management system. We've got to have a document register. We've got to have a risk management system in place. And we've got to evidence that we are using those systems in the real world. Okay. And so that's what I'll always come back to is ISO isn't going to tell you you must have so many mental health first aiders, you must have so many health and safety people, you must have so many of this, you must have this policy, this procedure, this whatever. No, it gives you a core element that you need to achieve. And then it says, you tell me what your system is, and then show me that you use it. Yeah. Stage 1 in ISO is show me your system. Yeah. Show me your policies, your procedures, your quality management, your organizational chart. Show me your risk register. Yeah. Show me that you have a change management system in place. Stage 2 audit is show me that you use that system. Show me it's embedded throughout the organization. And that's what we'll drive towards at the end of the course, is that you're in the position to show that the system exists. And then we go out there and we embed it for EPA, which I think sounds kind of cool. I'm kind of excited to do that with you. I think that'll be really interesting. And a core element of that for us is for each of your departments is going to be those core processes and procedures that you have. But also it's going to be making sure that across the organization and across everywhere, we've got an aligned quality policy that everyone is using. We've got an aligned change management system that everyone is using. We've got an aligned document management system that everybody is using, because those core elements are a must in the standard. And also, really, if you think about it and you want the system to be standardized and to work, it's a must in terms of management. Yeah. You're not going to be able to control all the processes and procedures if you don't have a document management system that does that and people that own and champion the management of that system. So we've just finished our number 1, guys. So if everyone wants to go and grab a fresh cup of tea, a fresh cup of coffee, and I will see you back here at 15:15. Sound good?
Perfect. Thank you.
Fab. All right.
Good.
See you soon.
Yeah.
Hello, hello. Everybody back? I can see you trying with your camera again, Andrew.
I don't understand what
Why
I've
not?
done. It's something I've done.
Oh, have you shut the slider?
I don't know what that is.
So right on the camera, on the laptop, right at the top, yeah, where it is, sometimes
Yeah.
there's a little cover that slides over the top of it. Have you accidentally shut the slider by
No,
mistake?
it doesn't. No, it doesn't
No?
have one of those. No.
Oh, that was it. That's my technical support, I'm afraid. Okay, guys. So we just wait for everyone to reappear from break. And then we will crack on with the main clauses of ISO 9001-2015 at the moment. We are about to get an updated standard this year. So we will look at that when that happens. At the moment, it's still in draft. So there is no point in me going through it with you because it's still subject to a fair amount of change before it goes live. I think it's due maybe September, October time this year. So we will continue with the current standard that everyone is being assessed against. So when we look at the main clauses of ISO 9001-2015, okay, we first of all got the first three sections, which are your scope, your normative references, and your terms and definitions. This is the area to go to if there's something you don't understand in the standard, okay? But it isn't what you are measured against at certification. So there's nothing in sections 1, 2, and 3 that you would have to provide evidence for at an audit. So for the purposes of quality management, it begins at clause 4, which is context of the organisation. I'm not in any way saying that you shouldn't read clauses 1, 2, and 3. I'm just saying, if you'd ever like some good bed night reading material, then you can definitely read the first 3 sections of the standard. But all it's going to tell you is what the standard's about, the purpose of the standard, terms and definitions that it will use throughout, and what they mean within the standard. So then the important sections are the ones we're going to be measured against. So we start with context of the organisation. And here at Clear Quality, we use this element to do what we call the enterprise risk register, which is looking at that overall business risk that we have. So we look at what is our organisation, what do we do? Well, who are our internal and external stakeholders that affect? Who's in our supply chain and affects our services? Who are our end customers? What are we trying to achieve? And then we look at the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. We look at the overall organizational structure and how that works. And we look at those kind of overall business risks. And usually we use a tool like a steeple or a pestle analysis, of which I'm going to show you one later in today's presentation. So it's all about understanding how your organization ticks, yeah? And what are the things that you need to safeguard it against as a quality team. The next section of ISO 9001 is all about leadership. That is how the senior leadership team and the management teams support the structure of quality management within the business. So it's all about quality runs from the top down, and how do we prove that? So it's all about the management meetings that we run. It's all about the data and the reporting that we feed in. It's all about the core support to the structures that we will put in place, and management understanding what those overall area and business objectives are, how each department feeds into that, how we manage that as an overall business. So when it comes to an ISO 9001 audit, management are integral to that. They're going to want to see what you do, and they're going to want to measure whether that matches what you say you do. But they're also going to want to know from the top down that ISO is embedded throughout the organization. So that management input is very, very important and needs to be evidenced at audit. So, you know, we would expect to see all of those management meeting agendas and reviews. They should be structured and they should be happening on a regular cycle so that you are reviewing all elements of your system over a 12-month period. Next section of the ISO standard is all about planning the work that you are going to be doing. So this is where we kind of start looking at resource, we start looking at supply chain, we start looking at staff competency training matrices, and that leans into, of course, clause 7, which is all around support of resource and making sure if we say we're going to do this and we want to achieve this, that we have what we need in place to get there and how we evidence that we do that. So it could include things like balanced scorecards for bringing suppliers on board. It could include things like training programs that we put in place for our staff to ensure that they're competent to do the work that we need them to do. But that planning and support is all about how we make sure we have everything to be able to deliver 8, which is operations. Do we have the people? Do we have the resources? Do we have the structure in place to deliver the product and service that we want to deliver? And 8 is normally the easiest area for everyone to evidence because we all do the doing every day, don't we? We follow the processes, the systems, we have the computer, you know, software in place that will allow us to track what we do. But what we don't do so much is document how we planned that and how we ensured we had the right resource in the right place to be able to deliver what we've said we're going to deliver. So those 3 sections link really well together and they kind of link through every process, procedure and policy that you have because they build the structure of what is the overall aim and objective of what we're trying to achieve? What do we need to be able to achieve that? And what do we put in place to actively get that operation done? Feeds nicely into plan, do, check, and act cycle. We plan what we do, we check we've got enough to do it, we then do it, and then we evaluate and act on anything that didn't go well. And then as you can see, 9 and 10 actually are both key clauses at the end and have their own. How do we evaluate our performance? And how do we implement improvement from that feedback? And that's one of the things that a lot of organizations find difficult to do because they get the feedback. Yeah. So the feedback comes in, but then it's what are we actually doing with it? Are we actually using that feedback to improve what we do? Because otherwise, it's utterly pointless collecting it. You know, we don't just want to be actioning things based on complaints. We want to be improving things based on constructive or even positive feedback that we're receiving from our customers. All of it is valuable in that process, continual improvement process. So I hope that gives you an outline of what those ISO clauses are going to look like. And throughout each of the months, we're going to start putting in place the structure that would help you to present a quality management system for rollout. Any questions on any of the ISO clauses? No? Okie dokie. So we're going to have a little bit of a look at what creates our quality management system. So our quality management system is a set of standards that we have created in our organization to say, this is what we do. That normally consists of policies, processes and procedures. Okay? So a process is a set of interrelated or interacting activities which transform inputs into outputs. And processes are different in every organization. I'm not going to sit here and tell you have to use a particular method of doing that, but you could use, for an example, something like a SIPOC. And a SIPOC will map in your suppliers, your inputs, the procedures, that attach to that. It'll then look at the output you're trying to get from that, and it'll then look at the customers that are involved. And we'll talk about SIPOCs in a little bit more detail at the next lecture, or I might move it around, but we will talk about SIPOCs more within the course because they're a really good way of mapping out what procedures you need. So a process is the overview. Yeah, it's like the aim. Yeah, this is what we're going to do. This is the procedures then that we will need to carry out to do the actual work. So your procedure is what you're actually, the steps you're going to follow to do that. And often what we see is with processes, they'll come in a mapping document. Do you guys have process maps? No?
For some things, maybe.
Okay.
But yeah.
So normally what I would expect to see in an area is in the central circle, you would look, what's the overall product, service, delivery that my department is trying to achieve? And then you would look at what are then the procedures and the tasks that people need to carry out that would then ensure that that process gets completed. You then understand to be able to see if this process is the most efficient, if it's working, if people are carrying it out correctly, is by auditing the procedures that sit within it and spot checking whether the paperwork or compliance or whatever the output is at the other end meets your internal requirements. So a process map is a really nice way of being able to see that. And you can also do that in the form of what we call a turtle diagram. And a turtle will kind of, in a very similar way, walk you around all the elements that are required for that particular process. So, turtles are a good kind of way of looking at that map as it stands. So it will walk you through what processes are, what your outputs are, and what your inputs are, and then what feeds into that when it comes to things like equipment, when it comes to things like control measures, when it comes to things like legal requirements. Where do they then fit into that process? So when we start looking at formalizing your document structure and your document management system, as a team, you're going to need to decide, how do we want that to look in our organization? What's the way in which we want to present? Do we want a nice process map so we can see each one? Or do we need to go down to the level of having a turtle where we've got that more detailed requirement feeding in to each process? Or we could look at something like a SIPOC. So we look at how we want to present all of the processes, then the procedures within our area. Normally in an organization your size, I would say most of the policies exist. The policies are kind of like the overall organizational statement on how they're going to achieve that. Yeah? So the policy structure exists. It's the departmental process and procedure structure that needs aligning. Yes?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. Yes, Andrew.
I think, are you kind of referring to like the company's sort of standard is one, but because we carry out so many different tasks, we have to kind of align them as best as possible so that got you.
Yeah. So the company is going to achieve this. But the process I've got to go through to achieve that is then all of these interlinking procedures, which will be done at varying stages. And that's what we call kind of like our cycle or our lead. So that's how long it takes to go through all of the different areas and all of those procedures that feed into that overall process. How it all links together, basically. It's like putting together the jigsaw pieces and seeing how everything affects everything else. And once you know that, you can then manage that flow of work. You can also streamline that flow of work as well. There might be procedures that are currently happening because something grew that actually you could streamline to be part of another procedure and actually could be done by somebody else. So it's about looking at the entirety and how it all fits together. And then you can do that in an overview fashion, or you can go into that little bit more detail in how you look at that. So what I would look at is the process mapping would cover the product or service delivery within the organization. The turtle would then maybe look at the areas of the ISO system that we need to create. So it could be the change management process we use a turtle for. Yeah. It could be the complaints process we use a turtle for, but it's not the operational day-to-day processes because they need the more action flow with the procedure attached. So, procedure, quite simply, is the steps that somebody needs to do to carry out that task. Yeah, often known as SOPs. Do you call them SOPs?
Yeah, we do, yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. So standard operating procedures. And they should represent the most effective, safest, and efficient way of completing the process. Yeah? And they're what, as internal auditors, we use as the basis for processing an audit and delivering an audit. Okay? We should have a management system that sits around them to ensure that they are monitored and managed in a standardized fashion. But to me, procedures are the most important part of our system, guys. Yeah? Because one of the things we all as organizations fall down on is having that one person who can do that task. And then not having a clear procedure in place, and that one person who can do that task isn't at work. And there's an urgent task that we need to do. And normally everybody has somewhere in the business that one person who does that one thing that you can't live without. And the idea of a QMS is that you don't have any of those situations. Every procedure, every task that you carry out in every one of your departments is clearly documented by the subject matter experts that complete the task to support you to be able to evidence clearly that you do what you say you do. Is that making sense to everyone? Where I'm going with this? To me, it's about building blocks. And you have to put the foundation in place with your teams for the foundation to be stable going forward. So when we look at standard operating procedures, they often look a little bit like they can often be a little bit onerous sometimes. I don't know if anybody's ever read a standard operating procedure that's like a book that someone's printed with screenshots and then loads and loads of text. Standard operating procedures should be a good simplistic flow of how to complete a task with details of what is required within the responsibilities of that task within it. Okay, so it should have an overview, a purpose, and a scope. It should define the processes or policies that it links to. It should have an approver. Okay, it should have an owner somebody who is in charge of reviewing and updating that document. And then it should give you the detailed step-by-step instructions on how to carry out that task. And it should include any checklists, any quality requirements in it. So it is a structured, clear instruction. Every single task that we do should have an SOP attached to it. And that's so important to make a quality management system work. But it is also so important that the people that carry out that work had some input into the creation of those standard operating procedures. I really, truly do believe in that, guys. And I've seen quality across a lot of organizations, and it works best when your people are involved from the beginning of the system. Yeah, because then they are bought in to making it work with you, rather than some new guidance and new guidelines and new rules being enforced upon them that they don't really see the purpose in, because it's not their responsibility to see the purpose in it. When we look at our policies are our overview documents. Okay, so very much these are our COSH policy, GDPR, fire policies, quality policies, waste policies. They are the overall documents of the company's position on these areas. We then need to make sure that our processes and our procedures make sure that we are compliant with these. Yeah? Because if we say we do something, we need to be able to evidence that it's been done. We could put a lovely fire poster up on the wall and we could say that we're going to run a fire drill every week and that we've got 4 fire marshals and it's these people and all the rest of it. But then if we go down to the process and we find out that actually no one's carrying out the fire drills, nothing's being done on a weekly basis, we're not doing what we say we're going to do. We're not meeting our legal requirements in that area. And as quality, that's our job to find out, is where are we not meeting the standard? Where do we not meet the legal requirements for the business? And we can only do that if we have a structure of organizational stance, processes, and how we achieve each of our products and services, and then procedures to support the team to get there. And really, at the end of the day, that is why we need all 3. And they need to intrinsically link to one another, and they need to be controlled for a quality management system to work in the first place. So one of the things that you will, need to commit to in your department is going back to, what do we want the structure for this to look like? What templates do we use in which to present it? What are acceptable methods in which to document it? And then each person will go and champion, right, who in my department is best to look at the overall process for me and map out all the procedures that sit into that? Who in my department is then best valuable to look at each of those procedures and make sure that what is documented is what we actually do, and then feed that back into us for each of our departments. We then need a centralized method in which to store those so that we don't have different versions flying around everywhere. How do you do it at the moment? Do you have an intranet or a SharePoint or a website where they all are?
Yeah, everything's on SharePoint, yeah.
Cool. I know SharePoint well, so we can use SharePoint well. Okay, guys. So one of the most important things and one of the core elements of managing quality is that risk-based thinking. And it links directly to plan, do, check, and act, which is the core quality cycle that we're always going to come back to. Okay. The ISO standard says when planning for the quality management system, the organisation shall, which means must, consider the issues referred to in 4.1 and 4.2 and determine the risks and opportunities that need to be addressed. So in section 1, I've already told you we're going to look at the enterprise risk register. Overall business risk is what we're going to look at, yeah? But then when we get down to that department level and we're looking at those processes and procedures that will sit within the quality management system, we've got to apply what we're learning today to each of those processes and procedures. I want you to think of quality as like the guardian for the business. It's way better for us to find it than it is for somebody external to find it, whether that's ISO, a regulator, HSE, whoever comes in and regulates your business. It is way, way, way better that one of us finds it, sees it, manages it, because even if the regulator were then to turn up, we can show we've done something about it. Yeah. So it's really important that we determine risk at all levels throughout the ISO system. So we are always going to link in with that risk-based thinking. And one of the things I will teach you as part of this course is a method of risk-based thinking called failure mode effect analysis. And it's a method that we use when we put something in place to ensure we understand the risk at a step-by-step level. So it's actually a really good way of documenting procedures because you can look at the risk of each step of that procedure within it. That then allows you to provide a really overview risk score. So we'll embed risk-based thinking in everything that we do. And we're going to start with that today in the element of going through those overall business risks and putting together that enterprise risk register. We're then going to get a little bit deeper into risk-based thinking when we start looking at risk versus process and what risk each process has, how that links to overall business risk, as well as identified its normal SHIEC style risk assessment. So, little activity, because I'm sure you are sick of listening to me speak already this morning. It's been quite some time. So I'll let you have a little go in breakout rooms for a bit, guys. Let's have a look and see if this will work for us today. We have rooms. So there are 3 questions on the slides. I would like you to take either a screenshot or write them down. Unfortunately, weirdly, it does not allow you to take the slide with you into a breakout room. It's some kind of like weird Teams thing that it does that. I'm going to give you 15 minutes. And I want you to think about currently at the moment in BRIGGS, what does risk-based thinking mean to the organization? Yeah. What different areas of risk do you currently look at? And what tools are you aware of that you're using to manage risk? So I wanted you to, in your 2 groups, to apply it directly to your current departments, your current roles, whether you're doing it as an overall way at the moment or whether everyone's doing it their own way. What level and depth do you go into? How do you look at and manage risk at the moment? What tools do you use? What different areas do you have to look at? What does it mean to BRIGGS risk-based thinking? Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, so I'm going to pop you in your rooms. I'm going to give you 15 minutes. I will jump in randomly just to freak you out while you're in there and support if you need any help with it. If you do need me and I am not in your room, then you may just go to the chat at the top and say, Beth, can you jump in the room? And I will jump straight in the room to join you. And yeah, so one person then for each room at the end to present back your little analysis of what risk-based thinking means to BRIGGS, what areas of risk you look at and what tools you use to do that at the moment. All good? Okay, I'm hitting the open room button. I'm sending you into the matrix. Please do not get lost. If you do, please come back to the main room and I will either attempt to put you back in or Hello, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Okay, so I'm going to go with room number 1 first. We had Richard, Jenny, and David. So, guys, talk me through what risk-based thinking means in your areas, what different areas of risk you guys have to look at, and what tools you use to do that.
Okay. Want me to talk, David, Richard?
You can go if you've got notes. I can go
So,
whenever you want.
Risk-based thinking, we're talking about things that could go potentially wrong for customers in terms of delivery of their service. So things that might impact their service, like staffing problems, weather, potential crossovers with projects, thinking about what could go wrong.
Okay.
So that kind of answers both those first two questions, I think.
Okay.
And how we go about minimising that. The tools that we use, I mean, we use risk assessments for task-based things.
Yep.
For this kind of discussion, we don't really have any formal tools other than having things like operational meetings with customers, internal catch-ups, regular, daily probably, looking at how things are going and trying to foresee what could potentially go wrong in the coming days and weeks, and then trying to implement control measures to reduce any risk. But yeah, largely for all of us, it was all about environmental stuff, weather, and staffing challenges, really.
Do you feel that at the moment you risk manage proactively, or do you think you risk manage reactively?
I would say mostly we're proactive.
Okay.
Would you agree with that, David?
I'd agree with that. Yeah. I mean, there is reactive in there, but
of course,
yeah.
But
I think
I think
department is definitely reactive.
Yeah, so a bit of both, but mostly we foresee our potential issues ahead of time and we can fix them. Normally at the last hour we fix them.
Yeah, but we fix them nonetheless.
They do get fixed. And actually, we're talking about tools as well. We were talking about even the Assure safety reporting system that we've got, although it's a reactive thing. It's a tool for reporting potential problems and reducing risk and sharing the knowledge. So it's also kind of proactive at the same time.
Yeah.
I think that would be a tool.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Have I missed anything?
That was pretty much it. So we have planned maintenance systems in there as well.
Yeah.
Managing the risk of breakdown and general maintenance on the vessels.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to get unforeseen breakdowns and things that you can't account for, but having that system in place manages that risk.
And how effective do you think your system is at the moment?
For that specifically, or overall?
Overall risk management system.
It needs improvement.
Yeah. It does need improvement.
Everybody needs improvement. I just like asking the question. I just like to know, is there areas that we can improve in that, or do we think we do it well as it stands?
I think on the whole, correct me if I'm wrong, David, but I think we are pretty good at identifying that risk-based thinking. I think we do it all of the time, every day.
Yeah.
I think it's a natural part of our day-to-day jobs.
Yeah.
I think areas that we can improve, and maybe that's where our tools to assess the risk, because we talked about that. Yes, we do manage to identify it and we always manage to get to it, but quite often we get to the solution at the last minute. Whereas if we had better ways of managing and identifying it, maybe we've got solutions in place before that, and we're not tearing our hair out till the last hour of the day and getting it landed down.
Yeah.
I think change is a big thing as well. It's, well, why should we change it? We've done it like this for 20 years. It's worked.
Yeah.
Nobody really ever thinks outside of the box and introduces something new. And when they do, it's pretty sort of dismissive by certainly some of the workers. some of the old school workers that are like, well, you know, when I was a lad, we never did it like that, and you know.
I absolutely get that. You know, I think that that's one of the biggest blockers in quality that we come across is the people doing the work going, well, I've done this for 20 years. You don't need to tell me how to do this. I already know how to do this.
Yeah.
And not buying into the quality management system. But it's why I'm such an advocate of using them to review what's currently documented and have a really, you know, good say in what the new procedure looks like, has that tendency to get you that buy-in at the beginning. And you need that, because otherwise you're absolutely right, Richard. They're just like, well, I don't really know why you need me to do that. I've done it like this for 25 years. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, changes that have been implemented, you know, is years ago, the guys didn't wear PP when they got on the boat. They took
Yeah,
it with them, but now it is absolute second nature, you know,
of
before they leave
course.
the door
Yeah,
of the building, the helmet and life jacket is all on.
of course.
Nobody
Yeah.
even bats an eyelid about it. But when you try and introduce something new, people are like, oh, come on, what's he on now? What clouds
Yeah.
he's sailing?
Yeah.
Mhm.
They're going to love it when I send you in to rewrite the procedures with them. I saw that look.
But they work
But
fine.
but do you know what? I honestly, I would even put a bet on the table now that if you get them to do it, they actually will be happier with the outcome at the end. They're totally going to whine about doing it. Like that bit I can't change for you. But actually at the outcome at the end of it is they will actually be proud of it, and they'll be much more bought into following it because they made it.
Yeah, it's the first thing that the guys whinge about is, oh, this is unsafe, that doesn't work. And then you go, okay, well, I'll change that. And then they go, why are you changing that?
Oh, I love that. Because you moaned about it?
Yeah,
That's why.
it's
Yeah.
it's rubbish. Why is it rubbish? Well, it's just rubbish, isn't it?
But you asked me to change it.
Yeah.
You wanted me to improve it. So I've improved it, and now you don't like what I've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get that down here as well with
Okay.
certain members of staff.
Yeah.
They'll complain about something, and then when you ask them like for their input, they moan about doing that as well. It's like, well, you guys are out there doing it.
Yeah.
Give us
And
some
you're telling me
input.
it's not right.
Yeah.
So you need to help me to fix it. And that's a culture change shift. You know what I mean? That we as a group will have to make with people, is to get them to think, well, actually, yeah, the business is now actually coming back to me and saying, okay, if I can make this better, then let's make it better. So be interesting to see how we implement that in the different areas, because I think depending on the work that's done depends on the workforce that you have around you. Richard, I imagine you have quite a different workforce to Shona, maybe. Different or the same?
No, probably roughly the same.
Okay. Interesting. So group number 2. We have Dan, Andrew, and Shona. Talk to me what you identified as what risk-based thinking is in your areas, what different risks you look at, and what tools you use to do it.
Okay, who's going to speak?
I told you had to nominate someone up front.
Yeah, to be honest, we got to the last 30 seconds and we hadn't even got through all 3 questions. I couldn't hear Andrew very well.
Oh,
Um,
no.
And also, yeah, I don't know if I've got some issues at home with my signal, and it's affecting what I'm hearing from others. I think just for me, it's thinking ahead. What could go wrong and could go right for opportunities and risks, and just taking actions before it happens. You know, just being proactive rather than reactive. I'd say in my line of work, it could be lines parting, snapback zones that are issues for individuals, vessel movements. I had one this week where
Yeah.
a fender was ripped off the lock wall because of poor weather and the pilot hit the wall. Incorrect crew allocation. It could be that we have heavy lines, but we don't know in advance because we work off LOE, so length overall for vessels. In which case we'd have to have guys do dynamic risk assessments at the time to work with the pilots, use VHF for communication, make sure everything's done safely. You know, plenty of risks falling in the water. We've had someone fall in the river last month. It happened last year as well. Yeah, but I'd say primarily, really, for me, tools to mitigate problems or assess risks are dynamic risk assessments, because our job's constantly changing. So we have environmental changes with weather, fog could come in, lead to poor visibility, tidal changes. As Jenny mentioned, I'd say ashore for assessing. Things are highlighted for risk assessments on there, but also incidents, near misses, so we can learn for the future, look back to those and see how we can change to stop any further risks. We do have a procedure to stop the job, where the guys are also aware that if something's deemed to be unsafe, they can stop the job and make sure there is no risk there. I've had a couple of examples. There was a berth where it was covered. It was covered in chicken feed. But had it been cleaned up, it would have been slips, trips, and falls hazards to guys. So I went out, looked at it, and we made sure it was cleaned up before anyone had to go on and berth a vessel. Another similar one where I had to meet with some of the main managers at Peel at Gladstone too, because Cemex are working on there, and they dug a load of the flooring up, and it would have been very unsafe for guys falling over. Addressing that. But yeah, risk assessment.
So your risk assessment is constant, it's all the time. It's every task you take on. It depends on the day, the weather, what staff you've got on shift, what jobs you've got allocated to do. So it has to be dynamic in that sense.
It has to be dynamic. Don't get me wrong. We do also have a risk assessments method statements book in the office. We also have it on SharePoint, so anyone can access it. Everyone's signed it, so they can all read through it at any point. And there's risk matrices in there to see where the main risks are for any individual on any job. So that's another prime example of how things can be dealt with. But also hazard identifications before problems come up. So on T2, for example, Peel are looking to extend how far they can use down the berth to bring big vessels along. So it's about getting down to the berth, having a look at it beforehand, see if there's restricted access, difficulty for bollard uses, things like that. Really.
Interesting. It's almost like I can envisage it, because I know what happens with a massive, incredibly heavy truck that's going out on the roads, and all the checks and the legislation and regulation. So I'm really interested to learn what specifically affects each part of your risk management that you have to do, because it must be quite complicated between health and safety and then also the real specific industry legislation and regulation.
So like a prime example would be for trammies and T2s coming on, when they're at the bar and they start making their way down the river. If the tide changes, they get stuck and they couldn't do anything. So we need to call VTS for traffic to let them know 4 hours before that it's safe for them to come down. Prior to that, we'd have to have gig boat checks done to ensure that the boats are all operational and okay. All the men will be there so that the job can be done safely. So there is some other background to it as well to manage risk that's already implemented as well.
Really interesting. So it's going to be interesting to see how your day-to-day risk affects the overall business risk, because it does really affect the overall business risk, because there are so many things that could go wrong, and if they do go wrong, they're like bad critical situations, not just what I mean, oops, someone fell over.
Yeah. And some of the risk is difficult for us to manage, because we have some like with weather conditions where a pilot may come down from the river and it's came up where he's thought that the weather's been okay, but actually further down the river it's a completely different situation. And then the guys have found that from Tranmere themselves, Stanlow, they're not meant to have like southeasterly winds over 15 knots, but they found that it has been, and then that's caused its own problems when it's come down. But at that point, it's too safe for it to turn around. So then it's about managing that risk at the time. And like you said, it's an ever changing thing that in the job, really.
And you have to document it at each stage as well. So at every stage when you're making these dynamic decisions because of evolving landscape and environmental risk, you have to document it at every level.
So every single person down has got a personal dynamic risk assessment book, so they can fill it in, and then everyone has access to a sure to put it onto the system later, so that we have permanent access through the computer, and then that gives us the opportunity to look at where people have highlighted risks and go out and assess them and see what the problems are.
I'm really interested to see this when I come over for the internal audit days, see how that works and see how the keeping of the books then feeds into the overall risk management system. Cool. That was really good, Dan. Thank you for that input.
No problem, Beth.
Anyway,
Thank you.
Shona, Andrew, anything you want to add?
Slightly different for me. The risks from the risk from my world, if you like, are they kind of relate to Dan. The risk for me is running very low or out of completely kind of what we call critical spares. So I need to constantly monitor what my levels are, and then I need to get onto suppliers to ensure they've got a fresh supply and can get them to us in basically overnight or at least within a couple of days. So and to manage that, we have like weekly stock control meetings, and then to manage those, there's like the people above me have like they have weekly like technical catch up and so they can plan work, which means then I get given a list of what we need to order or get ready at least, and that's what we're trying to get to. We're working towards it, but again, this role's new to me, so still playing catch up a little bit because it's very fast paced world.
So do you feel that it's got a good risk structure in place as it stands?
That's kind of dependent on me because it's kind of, the responsibility is for me to manage, to make sure. I need to just basically still find my minimums, like my trigger points for reorder and stuff. So at the minute, I'm just making sure I've got too much rather than not enough, but that'll settle down.
Fair. So it's a good tactic to go with it. It's better to not have to say, but also, what we need to look at then is what it's costing to store what we're not using.
Yes.
Yeah. And what that would mean in reflection if we turned that over for stock that we actually do use more. So it's identifying your key stock items.
Yes. That's what we would call critical spares. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I look forward to that. That will come into the lean unit. So we'll talk about that a lot in lean, and lean will then help you build a risk monitoring system for that, because you'll have those trigger points that say an order needs to be made now. This is a key item. This is the lead time of which it takes to get that item delivered to us. So therefore I need to ensure before we get down to this level that the order's already placed.
Yeah, and that's kind of I'm only a few months into it, so at the moment I'm just sort of pulling the trigger on order and stuff.
Cool.
When I'm kind of guessing a little bit, but
yeah, of course. Well, you're learning it. It's new to you, and clearly you've not been handed over what is a functioning system, so you have to build.
There was no system, so I'm trying to. Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, we can look at that, and the group supporting with using that as one of the processes that we can develop as part of the lean and KPIs module, because I think that would fit really nicely there. Yes, Richard, you were first.
Yeah, so we've actually got something similar for on the vessels. So the life-saving equipment and firefighting equipment, which has to be serviced and maintained sort of yearly or bi-yearly or whatever it is. So on SharePoint, what we've actually got is we've got an expiry register.
Yep.
And within that tells you when it was last serviced, when it's due its next service, or when its run out date is. And what that does is it then sends an email to all the duty managers saying this item for this vessel is coming out of date. And then it's down to the duty managers to then monitor that, order it.
Yeah.
Where we then lose track is because of the way our shift works, of a rolling sort of 24/7 shift.
Yeah, you two have crazy shifts.
Yeah, is John might, order something, but then the other duty managers might not be aware that it's been ordered. or when something comes in, we're unaware of where it's been ordered for.
Right, okay,
that's
yeah.
the
So the
tracking part.
tracking isn't working at the
Yeah.
moment.
But
So
the
again,
actual
yeah, that's something we can look at in the supplier modules too.
So, I mean, other than the odd glitch on SharePoint where we have missed a couple of days because it hasn't alerted us and the checks haven't been done, correctly. But yeah, other than that, it tends to run fairly well.
Okay, cool. I'm learning lots about you through this exercise, guys. This is actually really interesting. Dan, you had your hand up.
Sorry, I was just going to mention, Beth, I don't like Andrew. We have to work directly with the engineers because we have to do defect forms. So I don't know if there's something we can do to mitigate risk in that scenario. I know I've had to go back to the engineers when we only have a quarter of a tank full left on gig boats, and then it's been reported back that it's too difficult for them to manage getting that much fuel over at a time. So part of my risk also comes with part of their risk as well. So I
Well,
don't know
that's
if we
good.
can
And then
look.
we can see how that links together. Because then we
Yeah.
can ensure that everybody's getting what they need at the right time
Yeah,
to be able to
it was
carry
just
out
further on
what's
from
needed.
Andrew's point, I suppose.
Yeah. Cool. That was great, guys. Really interesting. We are going to have a look at some overall risk, business risk techniques. But I think it's time for a second break. So does everyone want to go grab 15 minutes and then I'll see you back here at 12:36. Is that all right?
Okay, perfect. Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
We'll go let the note taker out.
Oh, I know, he's adorable.
Have you got what is it? Springer.
Yeah, also known as an idiot.
I've got a Springer.
I've got three
Spaniel.
of them, so yeah. I'm not going to wake them though, because they're all currently asleep, and that's just, not sensible. But at some point before the end of the call, I will at least introduce you to Thor David.
Oh, he's absolutely gorgeous.
He is. He reminds me of my Cocker Spaniel, Mr. Harry, that died. He's gorgeous.
Oh, mine's only 10. He's a complete and utter nutcase. He doesn't like being left on his own too much. Obviously, if I'm on meetings, I've had to do a rare occasion one from home. He wants to sit on your lap.
Oh, really?
It's impossible.
Oh, no. Thor David likes to sit behind you. So he wants to sit between you and the back of the chair. That's his main aim. He's like having a lumbar support while you work. He's currently my other half's working. He's currently sat behind him at the moment. So he stole the lumbar support at the moment. But the other two, I don't even know where they are. We have three, so
Normally when a Springer's quiet, they're up to mischief. That's the normal thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have three of no breed. So they are just all two Bosnian rescues, and we think Thor David might be a Jack Russell crossed with a sausage dog.
Oh,
But he's gorgeous. But he looks nothing. Well, he looks like a Jack Russell, and he's really long like a sausage dog, and it's got really tiny legs.
oh.
He's adorable. I'll show you him when he wakes himself up. But I'm not going to wake him because he'll be mad. I don't want to get in trouble. Right, go enjoy your break anyway.
Okay.
And please
Enjoy.
always bring
Catch you
dogs.
soon.
Dogs are always welcome.
Okay.
Hi, guys. Everyone have a nice break?
Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
I was amending the presentation, so sorry for being a minute late back there. I just decided, based on what we discussed this morning, to amend the next bit to suit Enterprise Risk Register directly, so we can start on building the system. Okie dokie. Right. Okay. So in the next bit, we're going to look at all the different parts that put together your enterprise risk register. And I sent you all an email during the break with a master copy of an enterprise risk register. I have left some examples in there, so it gives you an idea in each of the areas what you are trying to achieve, and what you might measure in those particular areas. What I want to have a look at before we start completing that, of which I want to start doing that in today's session, is the varying different things that you'll need to analyze and techniques that you'll need to use to make the register valuable and work to be the core of your new quality management system. So I've got a couple of videos throughout this session, and they're each going to go through, and we're going to talk through them as well. They're each going to go through each of the different things that you need to take into consideration when generating this register. So plan, do, check, and act, I have mentioned a couple of times already today. I am going to do a little intro video on plan, do, check, act in a second for you, but it is the most common of the continuous improvement cycles used within quality management. It's the most common because it's the most flexible, okay? And also because it never, ever ends, okay? It's a continual cycle that you go through: planning, doing, checking, and acting. And it also links directly to the ISO standard. So if you look on the flow chart that I've put in front of you on the screen, you can see that, you know, in the center, you've got your leadership, and then at plan, you've got clause 6. At do, you've got clauses 7 and 8. You've got at check, clauses 9, and then at act, clauses 10. And that cycle just continually goes round, improving your systems, processes, and procedures. So it was a guy called Deming, or some people say it Deeming, who created the plan, do, check, act cycle. I have a little video that I'm going to play you on that now. I am also going to mute my mic while I do that, otherwise you get feedback from my computer. So if you cannot see or hear anything once I have pressed the grey button, then please do wave erratically, raise your hand, shout at me so I know you have a technical issue. I can put the link in the chat if you need me to. So I think it's a good little explanation of what Plan, Do, Check, Act is, and it's one of the improvement cycles that I use. I like it because it is very flexible around what you're doing, and that you never stop improving, you never stand still as part of this cycle. But one of the key things I think to take away from the video is it's really important to spend equal amount of time in each of the phases and not spend all of the time in Plan and Do and then skip through Check and Act, because Check and Act are where the real value to improvement sits. So as part of your enterprise risk register, you are going to have a look, and there'll be a section called Corrective Actions Register. Okay. And that's where going forward, you will feed in those overall business improvements, not the little bits that we do in our departments, but where as an overall do we need to improve as a business, and what are those areas? And that should go into then the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle for that business year. Okay, so you're looking at those wider issues, and that comes from looking then at your objectives and looking at your strengths and weaknesses and looking at your PESTLE or steeple analysis at the end, and all of those things together create your enterprise risk register. And then that allows you to manage risk from an overall business risk basis, which will then feed into your departmental dynamic and different risks that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So when we look at our business objectives, one thing that is super important when you're putting together overall objectives, and that is that they are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. A lot of the time I see when I go out and do ISO audits and do certification sign-offs, that organizations put objectives out there. I'm going to make £4 million next year. That's great. So how are you getting there? What are the things you're going to put in place that are going to ensure that you can make that much money next year? So we're looking at breaking it down and being able to say, actually, this is what we are going to achieve, and this is how we are going to achieve it. So any objective that you put down going forward, and when you look at you may have overall business objectives already. What you might be doing is pulling them into your register because they already exist. But then once you've got them, I want you to break them down and say, are they specific? What is the specific? And is it measurable? Is it attainable? How are we going to get there? Is it relevant to actually what we need to achieve as an organization? And what is the time limit, and what is the deadlines that we're going to set on it? So really break down and look at those objectives, because often we get given them once a year by the senior leadership team in a presentation. This is what we're going to achieve this year. And it's about understanding what our role is in actually achieving that, and what each of our departments does to ensure that we can meet that goal. So one of the things we're going to start off by doing in the enterprise risk register is what we call a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis. And this is looking at the business as a whole, guys. And it's looking at what are the strengths of the business, what are the weaknesses of the business, what are the opportunities for the business, and what are the threats. By doing this as one of the first activities in an enterprise risk register, by looking at the threats, we're starting to draw out the risks. Those risks will then draw into how we mitigate and manage that over the coming year. We start to look at the opportunities. Where can we grow? What can we do? Where can the business shine? And then we can look at what our strengths are and what our weaknesses are to see what areas we need to improve and what areas we need to lean on. So I've got a little video for you on SWOT. It's a really good little video, actually. It is 12 minutes long, so I apologize, it's slightly longer. I think it's 12 minutes. than a normal video that I would play. But actually, everybody knows about electric cars. Yeah, everybody knows about Tesla. So it's a really good SWOT analysis of Tesla as an organization. So I like to play it because I think it's got really good value in it. And it will walk you through how we break down those overall business strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So I'm going to mute my mic. I'm going to press the grey button in the middle of the screen, get comfy, and I will see you on the other side. So I think it's a really good SWOT analysis, to be honest, guys. That's why I like to use the video, even if it is 11 minutes. And I think we can all relate to the subject, so therefore it makes it easier to understand the skill. But it's looking at what affects the overall business and what the overall business strengths and weaknesses are, not our specific areas of the business. And to understand that allows us to inform what risks affect us as an organization. So the other tool and technique we've got to use to look at that overall business risk and start building that core risk register is either, some people call it a pestle, some people call it a steeple analysis. So it's looking at the social, technological, environmental, economical, political, legal, and ethical risks to the business. And it's kind of a strategic framework that we use to evaluate external environmental risks to the business. You know, I'm sure in that environmental section, from what people were saying earlier, there's a lot of risks that affect your business operations as an overall. And it's also looking at, you know, what political things can affect your business operations, what economic things like, you know, last year they put national insurance up for employers humongously, which meant a lot of employers couldn't afford to continue with their recruitment plans and had to streamline particular roles in the business because of it. So we're looking at all of those kind of external risks and how they affect our overall planning as a business. So if we look at those political factors, trade restrictions have been a massive one over the last few years. The change of government, another massive one over the last couple of years. Yeah, changes in legislation and regulation can affect that. So, you know, we've got those economic factors, things like national insurance, things like interest rates going up, exchange rates being poor, inflation, cost of living. All of that affects a business economically because people have less money, therefore they have less operational spend. We've got those social factors, so you know that can affect business. One of the ones that we will kind of all remember is COVID. COVID was what you would classify to be a social external factor affecting the business that you know, maybe wouldn't have predicted, but everyone will now have it on their overall steeple or pestle registers. You've got technological changes. You know, that could be equipment, could be machinery, could be parts, could be technology used to do tasks, could be just technology moving around you as an organization, other businesses bringing on more modern technology that's unaffordable to your business. So there's a lot of technological factors that affect what we do as an organization. We talked about environmental, weather, temperature, climate change, pollution, environmental waste, all of that, I'm imagining at some point you touch on as an organization that will affect your business. Of course, we've got those legal factors. So, you know, that legislation, that regulation that we have to adhere to, from as simplistic as the ones we adhere to in HR, to health and safety, to paying our taxes and our corporation tax as an organization and registering our businesses. There's a lot of legal factors that will affect. There's a lot of industry regulation that will also affect. And, you know, things like labor laws changing. Everyone knows that there's new rights from day one laws coming for new staff joining a business. So, you know, the rights that they would have had after they finished a 6-month probation period, they will now have from day one. That's going to be coming at some point in the next 6 to 12 months. That affects the way that we recruit. That affects the way that we get references or criminal record checks or any of those things in before we make offers for jobs now. So that's going to have an effect on all of our businesses. And then ethical, you know, what are your corporate social responsibility requirements? What affects your organization? What could go wrong that would affect the reputation of the organization really badly? So what are those ethical elements that sit around it? So I do have a video on Steeple for you, but I have already made you watch 2 videos. So if people would like me to play it, I'm very, very happy to. If people felt that that was a clear enough explanation, then we can move on to the next section. If you would like me to play the video, please raise your hand now. Okay, cool. I will take that as that was a clear enough explanation of a steeple analysis. At any point when we're doing the activity later, if you do want me to play the video in the background, I can absolutely do that, no problem whatsoever. And then the other part of kind of our enterprise risk register, and something you will need to provide, is your organizational structure. How's it work? You're quite big. You have a lot of arms and legs and a lot of different people in different departments doing different things. How does that all interlink as an overall structure? Do you have an overall business organizational chart, or is it a department site level organizational charts? How does that structure work? In an ISO, that will be one of the first pieces of evidence that they will want to look at within context of the organization. So when I go out and deliver an ISO 9001, the first 2 pieces of evidence really that I want to see from you that sit within context of the organization is your risk register and your organizational structure. That is a core element to building that system. From there, I'm then going to want to see your quality policy, which we'll get to next time as part of policies, processes, and procedures. I'm going to want to see how you deploy it, how you manage it. Yeah. So organizational chart is about how you already do it. And then, guys, if you find that the way you already do it actually isn't that standardized and isn't that concise, then recommending opportunities for improving the way that you currently present that organizational structure as a whole and how it works. So you'll need to add that as evidence with your completed risk register. So what I want to do now is I actually want to spend a little bit of time just kind of starting that risk register as a group together. So in my email, I did say that does somebody want to pick to drive as we go through and get used to the register? Because no point in me filling it out for you and then sending it over and you'd be like, I don't know how to use this, Beth. So does anyone want to be our driver for today, as I would call it?
I don't mind.
Oh, thank you, lovely. Do you know what? I thought it might be you. I did. Lovely. If you can bring up the spreadsheet, I'll stop sharing my screen. And then I'm going to walk you through what the register looks like. And then we can go through, start using those techniques that we've just talked about to complete the pages. And then it will be your guys' assignment to take that away and finish it. So I've left lots of examples in so you can see what's needed. I think that's helpful when you're doing a task like this. If you go to the dashboard at the beginning, there's a little kind of dashboard for each page. So that will populate as you populate the other pages. Okay. So it gives it a nice little dashboard over the top. And then it's broken down into sections. So you've got, first of all, your business objectives. So this, I would imagine, is something that you will bring over from your senior leadership team. I'm sure you'll have business objectives in place. And then it's about adding them into this table and making them as smart as you can possibly make them. Next page is about doing your steeple. I think that's probably where we'll start today. That is about then looking at all of those social, technological, environmental, economical, political, legal, and ethical risks to the business. And then the next one goes into your risk register. So this is looking at your overall business risk that you're going to draw out of working as a team to do your SWOT analysis on the business. So once you've done that SWOT analysis, you're going to pull out those threats, those opportunities, those strengths and weaknesses that you've identified, and you're going to risk rate them into the risk register element. And then if you can link that back to your steeple analysis and where those risks link into the overall business risks that you've identified. It then also gives you an actions log. So out of that, if you identify that there's things you need to do for your overall system and your core risk management to work properly, you would start logging them here, and then you would manage them as a team. So these are actions in the area of your risk register. So that's something that you might not fill out as part of the assignment, okay? But it's something as you start to improve the processes that you use going forward that you might start to use a fair bit. Some people have like a non-conformance system or a corrective action system or a software that does that for them. Again, if you have something like that that would log it better, it's not a problem for you to delete that page and use your own continuous improvement action log or corrective actions log. They get called many different things. And then you've got your opportunities register. So this is where we're taking all the positives that we found in our SWOT analysis, and we're looking at how we could turn those opportunities into a positive action that we could take for the organization. So that's what an enterprise risk register looks like. That's all the tabs. So we're going to start today, guys, I think, with steeple analysis. So it's filled out squares, so we don't have to do exactly the same number that are there, okay? So, but I want to break it down into the sections and look at what the risks are to the overall business. Now, I'm going to let you guys take the lead on this. You know your business way more than I do. And you can absolutely type over everything that is in there. That is just support to help you come up with ideas. And if some of them apply, you can, of course, slightly amend them and keep them. But it's just examples for you. So I want you to go through and I want you to start thinking about what social things could affect Briggs as an overall business. Oh, you're all so quiet. Come on, guys, talk to me. Social things. What's things that you find hard? Like, do you find recruitment difficult? Is finding skilled workers difficult? Is things, you know, I mean, people knowing about your industry difficult? I know that was one in logistics, that, you know, it's never embedded into the younger generations that this industry even exists as a career pathway, and therefore nobody knows. And, you know, in logistics especially, they have a very old population and there's a very small number of young people. So there's going to be a point where we have no lorry drivers.
Yeah, recruitment is one of our biggest challenges, I think, across the organisation at the minute.
Okay, cool. So there you go. You've got one.
We've had open vacancies since October last year that we can't fill.
So pipeline for recruitment is difficult. Oh gosh, Thor, are you okay? Sorry,
I think one of the
Thor
difficulties as well is
like, I thought he was falling out of the chair backwards.
It's such a small niche environment. Is everybody knows everybody, so you know a deckhand from Briggs will know the deckhand from Switzer or another organisation that works on the river, and they all communicate it between each other. Oh, what's it like at your place? You get people leaving all the time for, you know, whatever
Like the better packages, eh?
Yeah, yeah. You know,
Staff retention is difficult, isn't it?
yeah.
So should I just overtype this stuff, Beth?
Yep, you can just type over, or you can amend one if you feel like one's amendable. It's yours. I've just put they've just left the examples in.
It's just examples, right? Okay.
Yeah, these are just examples. You can literally just clear it out if it's making your brain hurt.
Please need to feel valued or whatever. Shout if anyone wants me to type anything in particular here.
I don't
So
know
we've
if it's
got
relevant
recruitment
to you,
challenges.
Jenny, obviously, but we have fatigue management challenges, you know, from the shifts being 24 hours, 5 on, 5 off. I don't know if that relates to yourself. I'd say mental health challenges are part of a social challenge for us all now, with that an ever-changing industry, really.
What did you say, mental health challenges, Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of with us as well, obviously, where we need to make sure the crews aren't being overworked.
Final word in this.
Work-life balance and quality of life has become so important to people since after COVID. There's been a real shift in the recruitment front where employers are having to make jobs look more appealing
and
to
more
people,
flexible.
more flexible. It is a real challenge, work-life balance at the moment.
Changing priorities. Need to be more flexible. Yeah, there's a bit of an entitlement for home working as well, isn't there?
Absolutely, yeah. You have to be very specific and very clear up front if you want someone to be office based. Otherwise, there is a real people really think it is. And also timekeeping, I think, has got worse.
Yeah.
People say, I was just late. What? Why? You tardy? No.
Would our company reputation fall into social?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, I mean there is, reputational issues at the moment. I mean we've been in the news for strike action at sites.
Okay. So actually, strike action, would that come under social?
Yeah.
I think it probably would, yeah. I think it would be a separate point to company reputation as well. Company reputation comes around negative press.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was saying with it being such a close niche market as well. You know, the reputation of BRIGGS is soon, you know, spread out amongst the other companies on the river or, you know, within the shipping industry. I think you get that with every
One thing
so,
that we
go on, Andy.
Sorry, one thing that we're absolutely screaming for at the moment is skilled engineers, and the problem I think is kind of generational. Nobody is really interested now. There's too many distractions, so really interested in coming into this industry. We need young people who are keen to learn, who will take this on, you know, for the man maker career. And unfortunately, a couple of issues. The people we need are now older to the back end of their career.
So it's aging workforce, isn't it? It's a real problem.
Yeah. And the people who we need are also, unfortunately, for us, too expensive. They know their worth, and we can't match that, or can't or won't match that.
Yeah.
So we, you know, the caliber of people that we do get is not enough what we need. It's not good enough what we need. So we struggle with that as well.
Okay, interesting. So that's definitely a point to put on, 100%.
Yeah, for aging workforce in there.
Yeah.
It kind of links into the recruitment challenges, but it's a separate issue as well, I think.
It is a separate issue, yeah.
And I think when you do employ younger people, yeah, they're not as interested as they used to be.
I don't think anybody's career focused these days. The younger generation, they don't look at something and go, "Oh, that's going to be my career for life. That's a job for life."
It's a real problem, isn't it?
There isn't such a thing as a job for life anymore. It's what can I do until I get bored and then go and do something else.
Yeah, there's a lot less of an attention span, isn't there?
Yeah. And that's generational, definitely, yeah.
So we're not getting the pipeline through. The pipeline isn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Isn't bringing through the caliber of people that we need.
It's not being passed on.
There's a lot of skills in this country that are going that way. It's quite a scary situation.
Yeah.
Them bleeding youngsters.
Well, you can blame the internet for a lot of it.
We should blame the internet.
Because people can make a much easier living from the comfort of their own house than go out and do mad hours and in all weathers. They don't have to do that. They can stay and talk on the internet and make equally as much, if not more money.
Social media then would be a separate one that we could list, because that has impacted how we get people.
The evolution of social media and probably AI is affecting that.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Well, with social media, you just go on things like Glasshouse? And, company reviews are on there from
Glassdoor.
Oh, yeah, from years ago about how terrible we are as an employer.
Yeah.
That does impact our reputation and the recruitment side of things as well. So it kind of links in, but again, it is a separate issue.
Okay, put it in. This is great, guys.
So I don't think these ones are relevant, so I'm going to delete them.
What about obviously relationships with so obviously like with us, we've got different obviously birth operators that we work for. I can't think of the correct terminology for it.
Well, they're clients, aren't they, really, I suppose?
So client relationship, Shona, is that what you mean? So our workforce working with the client?
Yes.
Yeah.
That sounds more politically correct. I don't know. I'm not sure whether that would come under social or something else.
That'd probably be like professional, wouldn't it? Or
so you've got social, technological, environmental, economical, technological, legal, and ethical. Where do you think it fits?
Ethics, maybe, I would have thought.
Yeah, I think ethical. I agree. So we can squeeze down and put that in the ethical section.
Sorry, Jenny.
No, that's okay. Always. So it will be company, client, working relationships.
Yep. Okay, so let's go for the next one on the list. So technological, let's think of some technological. You can add some more socials later, guys. I just want us to get a little bit of everything in there today. So what do we think about technological risks to the business?
Do you mean like cyber security, for example?
Absolutely.
So that
Technological
would be
could
the
also be
linesman.
to do with the boats, could be to do with changing technology, changing parts, changing systems, evolving computer stuff.
We're about to go through something called Workboat Code 3, which is going to cause quite a bit of upheaval to get the whole fleet to meet those standards. There's quite a lot of requirements, so we're in the middle of talking with surveyors and boat builders, plus other contractors about getting work done. It's going to be quite a massive project to make sure that this is something that's come from the MCA, which is the
So how would you
basically
quantify it as a risk?
I think that would go under legal.
Yeah, I think that falls more into the legal side of things.
Yeah, I think there's elements of that definitely that fall under technological, but the overarching Workboat Code 3 would be under legal, be compliance, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's put it in legal. We love a jump around, Denny. That's why I get you to drive.
So
Legal side,
really thinking outside the boxes, which probably comes into technological, environmental, economical, is the wars that are on at the moment.
Yeah,
So delivery of fuel could be affected. Also, on the
definitely.
technological side of things, is most of the satellites for GPSs are owned by the American government. So they could potentially switch them off, which would render shipping useless. So yeah, war would be something that would affect us. And fuel prices, running costs.
That'll need to fall into political, won't it?
Political,
I
yeah.
don't have political.
Oh, you might just have to write that one in. Sorry if I do. Is it back at the top? Might be right up at the top, political.
It's
Oh no.
social.
If you
No,
change
there's
some
one
of the
in there.
social ones and just change them to political. Some of the blank social ones, yeah, I put it there. I think it's a little drop down.
Oh, there is, yeah. That's why it's not letting me. Political.
There we go.
I think another technological one is sort of keeping up with
Innovation.
innovation and advancements in what we operate with. We've got crew-based vessels at the minute, but there's autonomous vessels and things, cropping up all over the place, and we certainly don't want to get left behind in that aspect.
Innovation and autonomy, because that could potentially impact people, the need for vessels and people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things that Peel said about that is, in the future, for pilotage, we won't just be putting a pilot on board a ship, we'll be putting on board a full crew, because that ship will have transited, across the Atlantic without a crew. And so we'll need bigger ships, bigger boats for pilot boardings.
Would that be accurate?
Yeah.
It's a good one. I went out for petrol the other day and there was none. Slightly freaking out because my car was telling me I had less than 5 miles in my tank. I was like, this was not what I was expecting. What do you mean there's no petrol at Tesco's?
I don't know.
I don't like the Tesco's, and I don't know if it's like a national thing, but where they're just starting to have like a couple of days off so they can carry on at least operating as a business. But
wow.
Yeah.
I managed to get to the Texaco garage down the road, which were doing a roaring trade.
Yeah, and I bet they're about 20 pence a litre more, probably. As well.
It was 152 for unleaded. I was like, what? That is disgusting.
Yeah.
Another potential one for technology is redundant systems and redundant technology. We constantly see systems changing on the boats. You can't get updates and things, you need to buy an entire new system.
Action updates. Yeah. So it's an aging fleet. So I'll put aging fleet separately as well, because we've got aging workforce, but we've definitely got an aging fleet across the business, haven't we?
I think with steeple though, it's not just about risk, it's about opportunity as well. So you can look to put points in about the new boats that we're getting from Peel that'll eliminate so many issues that we have with the current boats for engineers. SharePoint moving forward, I'm currently working on it with Roger to power automate loads of things where we're having issues with vans and services not being done on time and things. It's not all just about the risk. It is about presenting opportunity and where you can better yourself as a company as well.
Absolutely.
Obviously, one of the economical ones is just the general, obviously, cost of everything going up for the obviously that national insurance and
I
think pensions. And just obviously it's like parts for boats, PPE. Obviously that all has an impact, doesn't it? Costs going up.
So how would we quantify that as a risk? Increase in pricing?
Yes, I've put increased cost, but I'll change it to pricing.
I've just thought of something else as well. Lack of training providers for specific areas. Sorry, I'm just randomly thinking here.
No, that's a good one, Shona, because we're trying to get, that comes under Workbook Code 3 as well, doesn't it? So we're trying to get everybody through their additional training, and potentially there's going to be a problem with training providers for all of that. Is that what you're meaning?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've got these additional courses that people got to go on to, hasn't it? The SSNR course, things like that.
So I'll put that under Workbook Code 3.
Jenny, just for info, I think obviously CREGS actually do training all over the country. For that, if any of you guys obviously have any issues. I just dropped that one in.
No, thanks, Shona. Yeah, I'm sure we'll need all the help we can get to get everybody through. Right, okay, what else?
We can put positive in there, like you're saying about economical, and the fact that we have won and retained some major contracts recently.
We have. Right, need to.
So I would link that to maybe something like economic growth in our area is increasing customer requirements or customer base.
So under economical.
Yeah.
I think the social around BRIGGS is fairly good. You know, we're quite good at publicising contracts that we won and, you know, recruiting stuff like that. So I think from a customer perspective, they will look at that and go, yeah, that's a company to go for. Employer and new employees are always going to look at things like Glassdoor and go, yeah. Wages are rubbish and all the rest of it, but yeah, I think socially, I think we're quite good.
So if we put the Glassdoor thing on here, we'll put it in the recruitment section, haven't we?
Finding the right people with the right skill set. No, I haven't put it in here.
I think that would be a good thing to put in the recruitment section, because it is a real challenge. People do look at that stuff these days.
Yeah.
So review, you know, reviews
Social
left.
media reviews.
Yeah, social media reviews.
Of employment experiences or something of the company by employees.
Okay, I've enticed him up. It's taken me a little bit of time. I'm now going to flip him round. He's going to be mad.
Oh, there he is.
This is Thor David.
Oh, so cute.
He's my litty puppler. He's not a puppy anymore. He's like 5, but he's now going to want to go back in his spot.
But I just have to say that since dogs are allowed on the call, cats should be allowed on the call.
Oh,
So when
cats are totally allowed on the call
when I'm
too.
working from home,
Oh, you
my
can totally
cats
bring your
will be
cat.
on the call.
All cute animals are welcome on calls.
David phoned me on Teams once and my cat answered.
I love that.
Remember? Or did Paolo phone you? Or did he answer the
something
call?
like that. It was the cat that, it was the cat that was sat there when I answered the call anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Cats are only allowed on though, as long as we're looking at the front of the cat and not the back. So I'm often looking straight up at
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
it's a cat. You don't get that choice. Cats will make their own decision in that
They all
sense.
decide.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you will be grateful for whichever end of the cat it allows you to look at.
Exactly.
Precisely.
Yeah, you get cats. You definitely
We're getting a kitten in 2 weeks.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah.
A breed or just
No, it's
just
not.
a-
He's not a breed. He's
Just-
very tiny at the moment. He's only like 5 weeks old. He's adorable.
bless.
So I will show you a kitten next time we're on a call as well.
Can't wait. Cannot wait.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Back in the room.
Excellent.
I mean, an easy environmental one is weather and the
Yeah.
impact it has on our
absolutely.
operation.
So to see these environmental ones here, I'm going to leave obviously the emissions, vehicles and machinery. In fact, I'll change that. I'll add in vessels. Because that's
Climate change is something that affects us. So we're finding more and more now in the darker periods of winter is we're having to, man the outport more because the weather at Liverpool just, the direction that it comes from just isn't workable.
Yeah, I feel like we see that year on year now. The conditions, the extremities are plain to see. If we look back over our utilisation for the past 5 years, you can see a trend there. You can see things are getting worse.
Yeah. For me in the summer, the amount of factor 50 that I have to get through now is unreal.
Environmental as well. Any sort of carbon reduction programs and things that we're signed up to, the unrealistic nature of some of them. I mean, we're on a lot of government contracts that all have these fairly they seem unachievable at the moment, but they are, exactly, they're robust plans, they're in place. Yeah,
potentially unachievable objectives for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're going to mandate that their supply chain meet the same, or at least work to the same objectives, aren't they?
Yeah, which means we have to pass that on to our suppliers as well. It forms a pretty crazy chain that you need to manage.
I've already got GDPR in there somewhere, haven't I?
I think we've actually had Peel's new compliance officer here yesterday to ask those exact questions. What are you doing to, how long do your boats idle for? How much fuel do they burn and stuff? And
yeah,
they're already kind of
We'll be all over it.
In my opinion, it's unachievable. Like this carbon zero thing is, especially for us, you're talking about, I think our boats are already Euro 5 or Euro 6 compliant, but I just don't think you can get it maybe a little bit better than what it already is, but they're going to push and push and push, I think.
Yeah, they will.
So would that come under your legal?
Would it?
I'm not sure, because it's not a government thing, it's a appeal thing that.
Right, we
So
must
where
have,
does it fit then?
well, that would fit into carbon reduction initiatives, I think.
Yeah.
So unachievable objectives. So Clyde's pushing us to try and work to what their objectives are. So I think that would fall into that one.
Some of these can broach quite a few of the different categories, though, can't they?
Yeah, they can, yeah. I feel like we must have loads more legal aspects here.
Legal, we've got Lola regs for forklift trucks. We've got pure regs for machinery.
That's right.
Tracking certifications for ENG1 medicals, first aids, making sure we've got enough.
Good point.
There's quite a lot for legal, to be honest.
I guess it's the changing nature of all of that, as well as legislation changes. It brings up no end of new issues.
Yeah, exactly. So staff meet legislative training requirements for their roles. And it's simple. If they don't have the medical, if they don't have their STCWs, they don't work on the boat, the boats don't go to work. End of story.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So we're in the last 15 minutes, and I have to make you do a little bit of off the job training admin on Bud. So we're going to save this. Jenny, you're in charge. You need to organise a session for you all to get together and finish off this document. I will also send out the slides after, so you've got the SWOT analysis, reflection, steeple analysis stuff that you can reflect on if you need it. Okay?
Sorry, Beth, can I just ask, is this just to be done as a group, or is it done individually?
Nope, as a group.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
As a quality
how
management
extensive
system, you wouldn't have an ERR in each department. You have one ERR that services the whole business.
Yeah.
How extensive a list are we looking to put in here? Number of examples. How big are we building this?
I'm not going to answer that question, David, because I would like you to build it to as big as it should be.
Yeah, that's fine.
If we're using it as a real core document for the QMS, it should be right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we need to get together, and so we're completing that.
Yeah.
Is it just the steeple analysis that was to complete, Beth?
So this time I want you to have a look at doing your SWOT analysis. You'll do that not in the document, and then transferring over everything you identify into risks and opportunities, and then finishing off your steeple analysis. We will then pick this document back up between different lectures and different assignments to finish it off.
Okay, so SWOT analysis, that's going to inform the risk register, the opportunities register.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have to organise a session for us all to get together to complete the steeple and do the SWOT analysis.
Yeah.
As well. Okay. Right.
Lovely. And then in the background, I will get your portfolios changed over so that they just show one tile for you to upload your enterprise risk register, and you'll each need to upload it separately. I know you're working on it as a group, but you each have to upload it into your portfolio so that Marianne and I can mark it.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so we need to do a little bit of good work. So I did email over again the off the job record, just in case anybody hadn't got it from last time, or just it's easier to have it there. So I need you guys to open up that spreadsheet for me. And then for those of you that did the launch lecture with me last week, is it last week or the week before?
Week
Before,
before.
yeah, it was week before, I think.
What was the date? Let me get the date. Yeah, it was on the 18th of March. For those of you that were on the 18th of March, first entry should be 18th of March, 4 hours, introductory lecture, and then what your key takeaways were from that lecture. And then we need to add in today's call, which is going to be module 1, which is what is a quality management system. And then I want you to put your 2 key takeaways that you've got from today's session that we've done, and that's individual to each of you. Then when you're ready, I'll share my screen and show you how to upload it. I'm going to log in because that would help.
What category does the launch call come under, Beth? A lecture?
Lectures.
Yeah.
To do this Saturday, Beth, because I've got no access to Excel. I'm at home.
Pardon?
I will have to do this on Saturday, sorry. I'm at
Oh,
home, so
okay.
I've got no access to Excel.
Okay, no worries, but I'll still stay so I can show you how to do it on Saturday.
Yeah, no problem.
Cool. Okay, cool. I've just been through and made sure that everyone has got the launch lecture and the module 1 lecture set for them. So does everyone want me to share my screen so I can show you where to upload? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Jenny, I'm going to borrow your portfolio to do this. That's okay.
Okay.
Okie dokie. So when you land on your homepage, I want you to go learning and then into your learning plan. Excuse me. Once your learning plan is loaded, I want you to scroll down and I want you to go to where it says status. If you have that option, some accounts don't, and you just want to see anything that's been set for you to do. If you attended the launch lecture, then you need to go to messages and submissions, click on to make a submission, and then browse and upload the copy of your OTJ record there. Then scroll down to the bottom, confirm the number of hours, tick to confirm, and then submit at the bottom. I won't press submit because otherwise I would actually submit something, Jenny, because I'm on your live portfolio. Once you've done the launch one, if you then need to do exactly the same activity for module 1 lecture. So you'll need to click into module 1 lecture. You'll see it says activity details, messages and submissions. We never go in the off the job hours log. We're going to upload it in messages and submissions. So we're going to click in there. We're going to go make a submission. We're going to select our Excel OTJ record and attach it. It'll show there. It'll then make you add a comment, most probably as well. So just put OTJ record attached. And then again, confirm the number of hours from today, tick at the bottom and press submit. So once your spreadsheet's done, that's how to upload it into your system. I then need to go through, guys, and I will set later today your guided learning activities, your wider learning activities, and your assignment for month number 1. Okay, so you'll see a few more tiles appear and disappear over today while I rearrange what we've agreed. Is everybody happy with the 31st of, or the 30th, sorry, of April for deadline for assignment being completed?
Yeah, that's fine by me. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Excellent. That's great.
So once that's completed, where does that go, Beth?
It will go ping through to Marianne. Marianne
okay.
will then pick that up and she will then confirm it and log it as completed. You'll then get a thing through that says confirmation pending. Once you get the confirmation pending, you just click on it and the OTJ hours are now logged.
So how many submissions should we have? Two, one for the launch call and one for today?
Yeah, just 2 for the moment because they're being quite close together. Yeah. So it's just 1 for the launch, 1 for today. What I'll then go through today for each of you and I'll set April's activities. So when you go onto your learning plan, you'll see the exact activities that need completing for April. Okay?
Yeah.
Which is what we've just discussed about the
yes.
risk register and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fab.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Everyone okay with uploading their OTJ? Yeah. Dan, I know you've got to do yours on Saturday, but
yeah, all good.
All good, yeah.
Fab. So if your OTJ is done, you are free to go. That is enough of Beth time today, I think.
Thank you very much. That was good.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you.
Fab, I'm glad you
Thanks,
enjoyed
Beth.
it. I hope the exercise is good and I look forward to hearing your feedback on it next month. if you need any one-to-one sessions during the month, please do just use the little link to book a 30-minute slot with me. Okay. You can also use Marianne's link if you want to chat with Marianne as well. I'll let Marianne know about the amended assignment we're doing this month.
Okay.
All right, guys, it's been a pleasure. The admin team will make the video available by the end of the week. And shout me if you need anything.
Okay, thank you very much.
Excellent.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
I will,
It's been a
I will
pleasure.
just make.
Oh,
one
sorry,
point,
Andy,
actually,
are you
Phil.
talking to me? Andy? Andrew?
No,
We
it
lost
wasn't me,
him.
no.
Oh, okay, cool.
No, it wasn't
All
me.
right. Excellent. That's
Well,
all right
Beth,
then.
I was
I thought you were talking to me and then I couldn't hear you.
I think
I
it's
just wanted to
Dan.
make a point, Beth. You booked us on site for Liverpool 22nd, 23rd of September. I will speak with Paul Whitby. I'm on nights on the 23rd of September. So I'll see if Paul can do something to work around
Yeah, it
that.
was Neil that picked those dates.
If Neil's
So
picked the
I would
dates,
hope
I'm
that
sure.
they will move that for you.
I'm sure. If Neil's picked the dates, Beth, it'll be absolutely fine. Paul
Okay,
will
cool.
rearrange
Yeah.
something. All right,
Okay,
perfect.
fab.
Thanks for that. That's all it
Remind
was.
me to
Cheers,
speak
Beth.
to him about that when we get to your next review call, though, so we can make
Okay.
sure he knows that he's got to reorganize that.
Okay, no problem.
Awesome. Cool.
Perfect.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Beth. Cheers. See you later, everyone.
Cheers.
Okay.
Been a pleasure,
Bye.
guys. See
Bye-bye.
you all later.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.